Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into a stack of historical records, and honestly it feels less like a dusty archive and more like the prequel to modern India.
Exactly. We're tracing the legal DNA of the Indian Constitution.
But we aren't starting in 1947 with independence. We have to go way back, right, into the British era to see how the actual machinery was built.
That's where it all begins.
And here's the hook that, for me, is just mind-blowing. The East India Company starts as what, a group of traders in 1600?
Just merchants, basically, buying spices.
But then, by 1765, they get something called Diwani rights.
Which is really just a formal term for the right to collect taxes. So suddenly you have a private corporation not just trading, but administering justice and collecting revenue in Bengal.
Imagine a modern tech giant getting the legal right to tax California.
It's a terrifying thought. And that's the setup. You have a corporation that's now acting like a government.
And I'm guessing the actual government, the British Parliament back in London, wasn't too thrilled about that.
Not at all. And that kicks off the first phase of our story, trying to tame the company. It starts with the Regulating Act of 1773.
The first time they really pull on the leash.
The very first time. They're formally acknowledging, okay, this company now has political functions.
But they didn't just take over completely. I'm seeing a note here in the records about a double government in 1784. How did that even work?
Well, think of it like splitting the company's brain in two. Pitt's India Act of 1784 separated the money-making from the governing.
So one side for business, one for politics.
Exactly. You had a board of control to handle the political side, while the company directors were told to just stick to commerce.
And they keep stripping away the business side, right? By the Charter Act of 1833, the company loses its commercial license entirely.
Completely. It becomes a purely administrative body acting for the crown, and this is where we see huge centralization. The Governor-General of Bengal is now the Governor-General of India.
One title for the whole territory.
For the first time, yes. A unified administration.
And if you're going to run a unified administration, you need people. I think we just found the origin story for anyone who's ever stressed over a government exam.
You can thank the Charter Act of 1853 for that. It introduced open competition for the civil service.
So no more getting a job just because you know someone?
Right. The old patronage system was out. After 1853, it was about merit. You got the job because you passed the test.
But then the whole system it breaks. The 1857 revolt happens.
And that is the end of the line for the company. The 1858 Act is a total reset. All power, all territory, it all transfers directly to the British Crown.
No more middlemen.
None. And the Governor-General becomes the Viceroy, who is the direct representative of the Queen.
Okay, so now the Crown is fully in charge. And this is where we start seeing some very modern-sounding ideas, like the portfolio system in 1861.
It sounds technical, but it's really simple. It just meant assigning specific departments to specific people. You handle finance, you handle defense.
Ah, so it's the grandfather of the modern cabinet system.
That's a perfect way to put it.
But then we get to 1909, and the records here get a bit messy. The notes highlight separate electorates.
This is a really pivotal and, frankly, a dark turn. The Morley-Minto reforms introduced a system where Muslim members could only be elected by Muslim voters.
So it writes religious division right into the law.
It essentially legalized communalism, yeah.
And then in 1919, we get two words that sound like medical conditions. Diarchy and bicameralism.
Huh. Well, bicameralism is just having two houses of parliament, an upper and lower house, which of course India still has. Diarchy is a bit stranger. It means dual rule.
Dual rule.
They split the government subjects into two lists. The British kept the important stuff for themselves, police, finance, all that. The reserved list.
And the Indian ministers got what was left over.
They got the transferred subjects, things like health and education. Basically, the British kept the power in the purse and gave the locals the responsibility.
Classic. Okay, but then we get to the Government of India Act of 1935. This document is massive. Our notes call it the blueprint.
It is the single biggest source for the modern Indian Constitution. It established the Reserve Bank of India, it gave provinces actual autonomy, and it set up the federal structure we know today.
So in 1947, finally comes around with the Independence Act.
The British left, yes, and the country was partitioned. But that machinery, the civil service, the federal system, the portfolios, it didn't just disappear.
The new nation just took the keys to the car the British had built.
That's it. The DNA is centuries old.
It really changes how you see things. And you have a final thought for us to chew on.
I do. A little what if. That 1935 Act we just talked about, it proposed an all-India federation that would have included all the princely states.
But that never happened, did it?
They refused to join. But just imagine if they had. If that federation had actually come together in 1935, there's a real question of how different the political map might have looked before partition became the only option in 47.
Wow. That's a huge historical loose thread to pull on. Thanks for this deep dive.